There was a time when summer had a rhythm of its own. Fans in every window, curtains drawn tight by noon, cold drinks sweating on kitchen tables, and families sleeping wherever the air moved best. This story comes from that world. The world before cold air lived in our homes. The summer that killed her, August 1978, Philadelphia. The heat wave started on a Monday. Tuesday, it hit 98 degrees. Wednesday, 112. Thursday, 140, and it stayed there. No relief at night. Temperatures barely dropped below 80 spectral. The air was thick, humid, suffocating. Breathing felt like work. Michael was 14. His parents had 3 box fans running in their house, one in every window, trying to pull air through. It didn't help much. They wore as little as possible, drank water constantly, moved slowly. At night, Michael slept with a damp towel on his chest, positioned directly in front of a fan. It was the only way to sleep at all. His grandmother, Ruth, lived 6 blocks away. Second-floor apartment, no elevator, 1 bedroom. She was 81, lived alone since Michael's grandfather died 5 years earlier. Stubborn, independent, refused to move in with Michael's parents, even though they'd offered many times. She had 1 box fan, sat in front of it most of the day, kept the windows open at night to let in cooler air, closed them, and drew the curtains during the day to keep the heat out. Old school heat management, what people had done for generations before air conditioning. Thursday afternoon, Michael's mother called Ruth to check on her. No answer. Called again an hour later. No answer. She told Michael's father, "I'm worried. It's too hot. She's too old." Friday morning, still no answer. Michael's parents drove to Ruth's apartment, knocked on the door. No response. They got the building manager to open it. Ruth was in her armchair, in front of the fan, still running. She'd been dead for at least a day, maybe 2. Heat stroke. Her body temperature when the paramedics arrived was still 100 gas, even though she'd been dead for hours. The apartment was 112 degrees inside. The medical examiner said it was common during heat waves. Elderly people living alone, no air conditioning. Their bodies couldn't regulate temperature anymore. They'd get confused, not realize how hot it was, not drink enough water. Their organs would fail. They'd die in their chairs or in bed, and nobody would know until neighbors noticed the smell or family came by. That week in Philadelphia, 43 people died from the heat. 39 of them were over 65. 32 had no air conditioning. Michael's family was devastated. His mother kept saying, "We should have brought her to our house. We should have checked on her every day. We should have." His father just sat there, silent, angry at himself. But the truth was, their house wasn't much better. They had fans, not air conditioning. If Ruth had been there, she might have lived, or she might not have. The heat was indiscriminate. That fall, Michael's father bought a window air conditioning unit, a big one, 18,000 BTU, General Electric model, cost $380, which was a lot of money in 1978, nearly a week's pay. He installed it in the living room window, sealed around it with foam and tape. The next summer, when the temperature hit 90 degrees, he turned it on. The unit roared to life, loud as a truck engine vibrating the wall. Cold air poured out. Within an hour, the living room was 74 degrees. Within 2 hours, 72 degrees. The family gathered in the living room, the only cool room in the house. They sat there in the artificial cold, reading, watching TV, just being comfortable. At night, they'd sleep on the living room floor, on blankets, rather than in their bedrooms upstairs where it was still 85 degrees. The electric bill that summer was $120 per month, up from $45 the summer before. Michael's father winced when he saw it, but paid it. "Your grandmother died because of heat," he said. "We're not dying because we're too cheap to pay for electricity." But he was still careful. The AC only ran when it was above a 90-degree city outside. At 80-90, they used fans. He'd check the thermometer constantly, turning the AC on and off to minimize usage. It was a luxury, but an expensive one, and they couldn't afford to waste it. Michael never forgot that summer, the week of heat, finding his grandmother, the guilt his parents carried, and the AC unit humming in the window, a monument to her death. A machine that could have saved her life if she'd had one, if she'd been willing to use it, if anyone had understood how dangerous heat was for the elderly. Ruth died because she didn't have air conditioning, because it was too expensive, because she was stubborn and independent and didn't want to waste electricity on comfort, because in 1978, air conditioning was still a luxury, not a necessity, and that distinction killed her. The world before cold air, before air conditioning became common in American homes, which didn't happen until the 1970s and 80s for most of the country. Summer heat was just something you endured. People had strategies. Architecture was designed for it. Houses had high ceilings to let hot air rise. Big windows on opposite sides for cross ventilation. Covered porches for shade. Attics with ventilation to release trapped heat. Trees planted strategically to shade the house. In hot weather, you changed your behavior. You got up early, did physical work in the morning before it got too hot. Midday, you rested, stayed inside with curtains drawn. Evening, you'd go back outside when it cooled down. You slept on porches, in screened-in areas with airflow. Some families slept in basements where it was cooler. In cities, people slept on fire escapes or rooftops. Parks would be full of families at night, lying on blankets, trying to escape hot apartments. You wore less. Light cotton clothes, loose-fitting. Men in undershirts, women in thin house dresses. Children ran around in just shorts. Modesty. Standards relaxed in extreme heat because survival mattered more. You drank constantly. Water, iced tea, lemonade. Ice was precious, delivered by ice trucks, stored in ice boxes. A cold drink was genuine relief. You used fans, box fans, ceiling fans, oscillating fans. They didn't cool the air, just moved it. But moving air evaporated sweat, and that created some cooling. Electric fans became common in the 1920s, 30s, and they were the primary cooling technology for most Americans until the 1970s. Movie theaters were air-conditioned starting in the 1920s. Refrigerated air, the signs would say. People went to movies not just for entertainment, but for the cold air. Double features in summer were packed with people trying to escape the heat. Department stores and office buildings got air conditioning in the 1930s-50s, first in big cities, gradually spreading. This was a major selling point. Shop in cool comfort. Working in an air-conditioned office became a status symbol. But homes. Most homes had no air conditioning until much later. In the South, where heat was most extreme, AC became common in the 1960s. In the North, where summers were shorter and milder, many homes didn't get AC until the 1980s or later. Before air conditioning, heat waves killed thousands. 1936, 1948, 1954, 1966, 1972, 1978. Major heat waves with death tolls in the hundreds or thousands, mostly elderly and poor. People just died in their homes. Bodies discovered days later. Cities were different too. Before AC, nobody wanted to be in cities in summer. They were heat islands, concrete and asphalt absorbing and radiating heat. No breeze, stifling. Wealthy people would leave for the summer, go to mountain or beach resorts. The poor stayed and suffered. Congress used to adjourn in summer because Washington, D.C. was unbearable. The Supreme Court's term ended in June and didn't resume until October. Major political decisions were scheduled around heat. The South was economically limited by heat. Industry didn't want to locate there. Workers were less productive in extreme heat and humidity. The region was agricultural because that's what the climate allowed. Air conditioning changed this, made the Sun Belt economically viable, led to massive migration south. But most people don't realize how recent this is. The America where everyone lives in 72 Zutakiev climate-controlled comfort year-round. That's only existed for about 40 years. Before that, summer meant heat, and you just dealt with it, unless you were old or sick or very young or very poor. Then summer could kill you, and it did, regularly, and people accepted it as natural. Deaths from heat were like deaths from cold in winter, unfortunate but inevitable, part of living in a climate with seasons. The machine that cost a month's pay. The first air conditioning systems were invented for industry, not comfort. Willis Carrier developed modern AC in 1902 for a printing plant in Brooklyn. Ink wouldn't dry properly in humidity, so he built a machine to control moisture and temperature. Industrial and commercial AC spread slowly. Movie theaters in the 1920s, department stores in the 1930s, office buildings in the 1940s, 50s. But home AC was impractical. The systems were huge, expensive, required professional installation and maintenance. The breakthrough was the window unit, small enough to fit in a window, powerful enough to cool a room, affordable enough for middle-class families. Companies like General Electric, Fetters, and Carrier started mass-producing them in the 1950s, but they were still expensive. In 1955, a window unit cost $300 to $400, when median household income was $4,400 per year. That's like spending $4,000 today. A significant purchase, not an impulse buy, and they were inefficient. Early units used tons of electricity, doubled or tripled electric bills in summer. A family might spend $40, $60 extra per month running an AC when their total electric bill was normally $15 to $20. So window units spread slowly, first to the wealthy, then gradually to the middle class. By 1960, about 12% of American homes had some form of air conditioning. By 1970, 37%. By 1980, 56%. By 1990, 68%. By 2000, 87%. The South adopted it fastest. In Houston, by 1960, 63% of homes had AC. In Phoenix, 73%. Heat there wasn't just uncomfortable, it was dangerous. AC wasn't a luxury, it was survival. The North was slower. In Boston or Chicago or Seattle, summers were milder, shorter. AC seemed unnecessary, wasteful. Many people still don't have it. Get by with fans for the few hot weeks per year. Sarah's family in Columbus, Ohio got their first window unit in 1982. She was 9 years old. Her father saved for months, bought a 12,000 BTU unit from Sears for $375, installed it in the family room window, the room where they spent most of their time. The first time he turned it on, Sarah remembers standing in front of it, feeling the cold air hit her face, laughing with shock. "It's like winter," she said. Her mother stood there too, arms spread, letting the cold air wash over her. "We should have done this years ago," she said, but they were careful with it. Only ran it when temperature hit 88 degrees or higher. Set it to 78 degrees, not colder, to save electricity. Turned it off at night, used fans instead. The electric bill still jumped $45, $50 per month when they used it, and that mattered to the family budget. Sarah's friends had different situations. Some had central AC, whole house systems, kept their homes at 70 sudu derners all summer. Those were the wealthy families, big houses, professional parents. Most of her friends had window units like hers, or no AC at all, just fans. The kids with no AC would come to her house on hot days, hang out in the family room, enjoy the cold air. Sarah's mother would make lemonade. They'd watch TV, play board games, just be comfortable. It was casual generosity, but also a status marker. We have AC, you can share it. By the late 1980s, central air conditioning became more common. New houses were built with it standard, costing $2,000, $3,000 extra, but increasingly expected by buyers. Retrofitting old houses was expensive, $5,000, $10,000, but people did it. AC was transitioning from luxury to necessity. The availability of home AC changed where people lived. The Sun Belt boom, Arizona, Nevada, Florida, Texas, happened partly because AC made those places livable year-round. Before AC, Phoenix in July was abandoned by anyone with means to leave. After AC, it became one of America's fastest-growing cities. But this all happened recently. Sarah is 51 now, and she remembers clearly the years before. Her family had AC. The hot summers, sleeping with damp towels, fans running all night, the relief of going to the mall or movies just for the cold air. Her kids, born in the 1990s and 2000s, have never known a summer without AC. They've never experienced the strategies of pre-AC life. They set the thermostat to 6 to and don't think twice about the cost. Different world, different expectations. The night they slept on the porch, Lisa was 12 in 1972, lived with her parents and 3 siblings in a 2-story house in Memphis. No air conditioning, never had any, just fans. Memphis in summer, 95 degree days, 70 key nights, humidity making it feel 10 degrees hotter. The air was soup. Moving made you sweat. Sitting still made you sweat. Breathing made you sweat. The house had strategies. Close all windows and curtains at sunrise to trap the overnight cool. Keep them closed all day while the sun beat down. Open everything at sunset to let hot air out and any breeze in. Fans in every window pulling air through. Upstairs was unbearable. Heat rose, got trapped. By evening, Lisa's bedroom was 95 degrees. Impossible to sleep. She'd lie there sweating, sheets stuck to her body, unable to sleep until 2 a.m. when it finally cooled slightly. So on the worst nights, the family slept on the porch. Screened-in back porch, shaded, some breeze. They'd drag mattresses and blankets out, line them up, all 5 of them sleeping outside like camping. It was cooler, but not cool. Still 82 degrees, still humid, but the air moved and that made it bearable. Lisa would lie there, listening to cicadas, watching lightning bugs, eventually falling asleep. Her father worked construction, woke at 5 a.m. to work before the heat got dangerous. By noon, work stopped. Too hot, too dangerous. Men died every summer from heat stroke on construction sites. You worked early, or you didn't work. Her mother did housework in the morning, then shut down midday. No cooking, no laundry, nothing that generated heat. Cold meals, minimal movement. Survival mode until evening. Lisa's family wasn't poor, but they weren't wealthy either. Solidly working class. Other families had window units. Lisa's friend Jennifer had one in her family's living room, kept it at 75 degrees all summer. Lisa visited often, stayed as long as she was invited, just to be cool. Jennifer's family was richer, both parents professionals. Bigger house. The window unit was a symbol of that gap. Lisa's family couldn't afford the $400 purchase price plus the 60-month higher electric bills. So they suffered through summer with fans. In 1976, Lisa's family got a small window unit, 8,000 BTU for the living room. Her father bought it used from a neighbor for $150. Installed it himself, though he wasn't sure what he was doing. It worked, kind of. Cooled the living room to 70-4 on hot days, which felt like a miracle. They ran it sparingly, only when temperature hit 93 degrees or higher. Lisa and her siblings would fight over who got to sleep in the living room on hot nights. Her parents stayed upstairs with fans, said they were used to the heat, though Lisa knew they were sacrificing for the kids. That one window unit changed the family's summer experience. The living room became a refuge, a place to escape the worst heat. Not complete comfort, but enough to make it bearable. Lisa remembers her mother crying the first time it ran, just standing in front of it, tears running down her face, saying, "I can't believe we have this. I can't believe how much better this is." 20 years of Memphis summers without AC, and now a small window unit felt like luxury beyond measure. By 1985, they had 3 window units: living room, parents' bedroom, kids' bedroom. The house was patchwork cooled, some rooms comfortable, others still hot, but manageable. They didn't sleep on the porch anymore. Lisa moved away for college, ended up in Minneapolis where summers were milder, got an apartment with no AC, figured she didn't need it after surviving Memphis. First heatwave, 90 Cians of Stigakrar for 3 days. She broke down and bought a window unit. Couldn't do it anymore, had tasted comfort, couldn't return to suffering. She thinks about those nights on the porch sometimes. Her kids find the stories incomprehensible. You slept outside every night? Why didn't you just turn on the AC? Didn't you die? They've never been hot for more than 20 minutes, never gone to bed sweating, never woken up in a puddle of their own sweat. Different world, different baseline of what's tolerable. Lisa's kids set their bedrooms to 68 degrees Celsius and complain if it's 70 degrees Celsius. Lisa still sets hers to 74 degrees Celsius, feels guilty going colder, remembers the cost and the privilege of being able to afford cold air at all. The office that gave him headaches. Robert worked downtown in the 1960s, insurance company, office tower in Chicago. The building was brand new, 1964, built with central air conditioning throughout. Climate controlled, sealed windows, modern. Before this job, Robert had worked in older buildings with no AC. Summers were brutal. You'd sweat through your shirt by 10 a.m., change into a spare you kept at your desk. Fans everywhere, but they just moved hot air. Productivity dropped, everyone moved slowly, took long lunches to escape to air-conditioned restaurants. The new building promised comfort. Work in refrigerated air, the recruitment materials said. It was a genuine selling point, part of how they attracted employees. Robert's first day in the new office, July 1964, 90 outside. He walked in from the heat, hit the wall of cold air in the lobby, felt immediate relief, took the elevator to the 15th floor, walked to his desk. The office was 68 degrees, cold enough that he put on the suit jacket he'd carried, cold enough that he was actually comfortable in a full suit. It was miraculous. 8 hours of work without sweating, without discomfort, without heat slowing your thinking. Productivity was genuinely higher. Robert got more done because he wasn't fighting his environment. But within weeks, he noticed problems. Headaches daily, starting around 2 p.m., dry throat, difficulty swallowing. Stuffiness like a cold, but not quite. Other employees had the same complaints. The windows were sealed, couldn't be opened. The air was recirculated constantly, filtered, but never fresh. The temperature was uniform throughout, 68 degrees everywhere, no variation, no natural rhythm. The humidity was low, too low, dried out sinuses and throats. This was common in early air-conditioned buildings. Engineers controlled temperature, but didn't understand indoor air quality, humidity needs, the importance of air exchange. Sick building syndrome became recognized later, but in the 1960s, people just suffered and didn't understand why. Robert adapted, kept a sweater at his desk for when the AC was too cold, drank water constantly for the dry throat, took aspirin for the headaches. The cold air was still better than the heat would have been, so he accepted the downsides. Clients visiting from out of town would complain about the cold. Robert's office would have meetings in summer, outside 95 degrees, inside 68 degrees, and clients in suits would shiver, ask if the AC could be turned down. It couldn't. Central systems controlled the whole building uniformly. Technology doesn't arrive evenly. Progress doesn't reach everyone simultaneously, and people die in the gaps. Ruth was in the gap. The millions who died in heat waves before AC was common were in the gap. The transition killed them. Michael understands this. His grandsons don't, can't, won't. They live in the after, where heat is solved. He lives in both, remembers the before, experiences the after, and carries Ruth's fan in his basement as a reminder that comfort isn't guaranteed, that what we have now wasn't always here, that people died for lack of cold air. Different world now, better world mostly, but built on the suffering of the before times, and worth remembering. The night Ruth died, the summer of 1978, before air conditioning was normal.